Hello students, welcome to ePathshala. I am Deepa Satish, working as an assistant professor and chief dietitian in Ganga Medical Center and Hospitals, Coimbatore. I am going to teach you about sugar processing. Sugar is a general term used to indicate the carbohydrate present in many plants. The primary sugar compound glucose is a product of photosynthesis and occurs in all green plants. In most plants, the sugar occurs as a mixture of monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharides and cannot readily be separated into components. In some plants, sap, the sugar mixture are condensed into syrup. Sugarcane is a major sugar crop as well as cash crop cultivated in India mainly for the production of sugar. The duration of the crop is 10 to 12 months. The canes are harvested when the Brix reading coincide with 18 to 25. Apart from sugar, the products obtained from a sugar mill includes bagasse, press mud and molasses. Objectives. On completion of this session, you will be able to understand the processes involved in sugar processing. Know about different types of sugars produced from sugarcane. Basic cane sugar production process. Manual harvesting is the most common method used in many countries, but some countries use mechanical harvesters too. After harvesting, the stacks are bundled for easy manual loading. Mechanical grab loaders or continuous loaders are also used for mechanical loading of canes. Loaded cane is transported to the mills using animal-driven carts, quad truck, trailers or trucks depending upon the distance between the harvesting field and the processing mills. Rapid deterioration of the cane begins once the cane is cut. Therefore, the harvested cane has to be processed within 16 hours without excessive deterioration of sucrose content. The basic process flow diagram for a cane sugar production plant is shown in the figure 4.1, which is coming below. The major steps in cane sugar processing are washing, cleaning, crushing the canes in mills, extraction of juice, clarification of juice, boiling of juice, crystallization, centrifugation, drying, grading, packing and storage transportation. The sugarcane received at the mill is mechanically unloaded and placed in a large heap. Prior to milling, the cane is washed to remove the field mud, sand brought with the cane into factory. The milling cane takes place in two steps. One is breaking the hard structure of the cane and two is grinding the cane. Cutting or breaking the cane uses shredders, revolving knives, crushers or a combination of these machines. For the milling or grinding of the crushed cane, multiple sets of 3-roller mills are most commonly used. Belt conveyors transport the crushed cane from one mill to the next. Water or juice is applied to the crushed cane to enhance the extraction of the juice. This process is known as imbibition. In imbibition, the water or juice from other processing area applied in the last mill while the crushed cane enters in the first mill. Then both are transferred from mill to mill in opposite direction. The mill cane exiting the last mill is called bagasse. The juice collected from the mills is strained to remove large particles and then clarified. In raw sugar production, clarification is done with lime as milk of lime and heat. The lime is added to extracted juice to neutralize the organic acids, and at this time the temperature of the juice raised to about 95 degrees Celsius and a heavy precipitate is formed. A clarifier is used to separate heavy precipitate from the juice. The clarified juice goes to the evaporators without additional treatment. The insoluble particulate mass called mud is separated from the lime juice by gravity or centrifugal. The mud is filtered using rotary vacuum filters and the filter cake is washed with water is called press mud. This figure shows the entire processing of the sugar. So the evaporation of juice is carried out in two stages. Initially, the juice is concentrated using an evaporator station, then vacuum pans are used to crystallize the sugar. The clarified juice obtained from the clarifier is passed through heat exchangers to preheat the juice and then to the evaporator stations. Evaporator stations consist of series of 5 evaporators termed as multiple effect evaporators. Steam from large boilers is used to heat the first evaporator and the water evaporated in the first evaporator is used to heat the second evaporator. This heat transfer process continues through the 5 evaporators, and as the temperature decreases due to heat loss from evaporator to evaporator, the pressure inside each evaporator also decreases, which allows the juice to boil at the lower temperature in the subsequent evaporator. Some steam is released from the first 3 evaporators, and this steam is used in various process heaters in the plant. The evaporator station in cane sugar manufacturer typically produces a syrup with about 65% solids and 35% water. Following evaporation, the syrup is clarified by adding lime, phosphoric acid and a polymer flocculant, aerated and filtered in the clarifier. From the clarifier, the syrup goes to the vacuum pans for crystallization. Next, crystallization of the sugar starts in the vacuum pans, whose function is to produce sugar crystals from the syrup. In the pan boiling process, the syrup is evaporated until it reaches the supersaturation stage. At this point, the crystallization process is initiated by seeding or shocking the solution. When the volume of the mixture of liquor and crystals, known as muscity, reaches the capacity of the pan, the evaporation is allowed to proceed until the final muscite is formed. At this point, the contents of the vacuum pans called strike are discharged to the crystallizer, whose function is to maximize the sugar crystal removal from the muscite. Some mills seed the vacuum pans with isopropyl alcohol and ground sugar or other similar seeding agent rather than with crystals from the process. From the crystallizer, a muscity is a transferred high-speed centrifugal machines, centrifugals, in which the mother liquor, which is termed as molasses, is centrifuged to the outer shell and the crystals remain in the inner centrifugal basket. The crystals are washed with water and wash water centrifuged from the crystals. The liquor, which is a molasses, from the first centrifugal is returned to a vacuum pan and reboiled to yield second muscite. This is called B muscite, that in turn yields a second batch of crystals. The B muscite is transferred to the crystallizer and then to the centrifugal, and the raw sugar is separated from the molasses. This raw sugar is combined with the first crop of crystals. The molasses from the second boiling B molasses, that is much lower purity than the first molasses. It is reboiled to form a low grade muscite, which is called C muscite, which goes to a crystallizer and then to a centrifugal. This low grade cane sugar is mingled with syrup and is sometimes used in the vacuum pans as a seeding solution. The final molasses from the third stage, which is blackstrap molasses, is a heavily viscous material used primarily as a supplement in cattle feed. The cane sugar from the combined A and B muscites is dried in fluidized bed and spouted bed dryers and cooled. After cooling, cane sugar is transferred to packing bins and then sent to bulk storage. Cane sugar is then generally bulk loaded to trucks, rail cars or barges. The cane sugar is refined either at the same location where it was produced as a part of integrated facility or at separate raw sugar refineries. The initial step in cane sugar refining is washing the sugar, called affination, with warm, almost saturated syrup to loosen the molasses film. This is followed by separation of the crystals from the syrup in a centrifugal and washing of the separated crystals with hot water or a high purity sweet water. If the refinery is part of the cane sugar production facility, the cane sugar may be washed more heavily in previous steps and the affination step omitted. The washed raw sugar is sent to the pre-melter and then to a melter, where it is mixed with high purity sweet waters from other refinery steps and is steam heated. The resultant syrup is passed through a screen to remove any particulate in the syrup and sent to the clarification step. The syrup from the crystal washing, called affination syrup, is transferred to a remelt processing station or reused in the raw sugar washing step. In the remelt station, the syrup volume is reduced to form the muscite and the sugar crystals are separated from the syrup. The separated liquor is blackstrap molasses. The sugar crystals are sent to a melter and then to the clarification step. Two clarification methods are commonly used: pressure filtration and chemical treatment. Chemical clarification is the preferred method. Two chemical methods are commonly used, that is phosphatation and carbonation. Both processes require the addition of lime. The phosphatation uses phosphoric acid, lime as the lime sucrate to increase the solubility, and polyacrylamide flocculant to produce a calcium phosphate flocculant. Air flotation is usually used to separate the floc from the liquor and the floc skimmed from the liquor surface. Carbonation consists of adding lime to the raw melted liquid and then bubbling carbon dioxide through the liquid to produce a calcium carbonate precipitate. The source of 2 carbon dioxide is boiler flue gas, which contains about 12% carbon dioxide by volume. The clarifier systems yield either 2 to rest cake, muds, scums, which are treated to remove entrapped sugar and then sent to disposal. The next step is decolorization, which removes soluble impurities by absorption. The two most common absorbents are granular activated carbon and bone char, manufactured from degreased cattle bones. Powdered carbon and synthetic resins are less commonly used. Bone char or activated carbon are used in either fixed or moving bed systems. Spent absorbent is removed from the bed, regenerated and stored for reuse. The decolorized sugar liquor is sent to heaters at some refineries, followed by multiple effect evaporators and then to the vacuum pans. This is the same sequence used in cane sugar manufacture. Basic operation of the evaporators and vacuum pans is the same as for cane sugar. The sugar liquor from the evaporators, that is thick juice, is transferred to the vacuum pans to further reduce the liquor volume and form the muscate. In refined sugar production, the most common boiling system is the 4-strike system. When the liquor in the pans has reached the desired level of supersaturation, the liquor is seeded to initiate formation of sugar crystals. At this point, the strike is discharged to a mixture and then to the centrifugal. In the centrifugal, the white sugar is retained in the inner basket and the liquor centrifuged to the outer shell. The sugar liquor is returned to a vacuum pan for further volume reduction and white or brown sugar production. The white sugar is washed one time in the centrifugal. The separated wash water containing liquor and dissolved sugar is returned to the vacuum pans. The moist sugar from the centrifugal contains about 1% water by weight. To produce refined granulated sugar, white sugar is transported by conveyors and bucket elevators to the sugar dryers. The most common sugar dryers is the granulator, which consists of 2 drums in series. One drum dries the sugar and the other cools the dried sugar crystals. The dryer drums typically operate at a temperature of about 110 EC, that is 230 EF. Fluidized bed dryers, coolers are used at some facilities in place of the conventional rotary drum granulators. From the granulators, the dried white sugar crystals are mechanically screened by particle size using a sloping, gyrating wire mesh screen or perforated plate. After screening, the finished refined granulated sugar is sent to conditioning bins and then to storage bins prior to packaging or bulk loadout. Almost all the packaged sugar uses either multi-wall paper containers, cardboard cartons or polyethylene bags. Bulk loadout is the loadout of the sugar to specially designated bulk hopper cars or tank trucks. In addition to granulated sugar, other common refined sugar products include confectioners, that means powdered sugar, brown sugar, liquid sugar and edible molasses. There are about 6 other less common sugar products. Let us see types of cane sugar products. Processed sugar comes in 2 forms, non-crystalline and crystalline, which there are 2 basic types, centrifuged and non-centrifuged. The different forms of sugar are produced in many different countries and often have different names. Therefore, for clarity, the different types are described as follows. First is non-crystalline sugars, syrups. A non-crystalline liquid or high viscosity, that means thickness, concentrated from whole cane juice It can vary from golden brown to dark brown and contains up to 50% sucrose, high levels, that is up to 20% of invert sugar, up to 20% moisture, and the remainder is made up of other insoluble matter, that is ash, proteins, bagases, etc. Next one is crystalline sugars. These can be divided into two types, that is non-centrifugal sugars and centrifugal sugars. Non-centrifugal sugars are basic lump sugars where the molasses and crystals have not been separated. Centrifugal sugars are free-flowing granular sugars where the molasses and crystals have been separated to some degree. So next is non-centrifugal sugars. In that we'll see about lump sugars. These sugars are a concentrated product of the cane juice and are produced in many countries for direct consumption. They vary from yellowish brown to dark brown, almost black sometimes in color, and contain up to 80% of sucrose, with the remainder made up from moisture, invert sugars, and other insoluble matter such as ash, proteins, and bagases fines in varying proportions. Lump sugars are produced in many countries around the world and are known by a range of names, that is jaggery in Africa, gur in India and Bangladesh, desi in Pakistan, chanka in Peru. Other names include panela, pilonchilla and rapidura. Next, centrifugal sugar. In that we'll see kansari, a basic raw granular sugar developed in India that has been separated from most of the molasses. Kansari varies in color from golden yellow to brown and contains between 94 and 98% sucrose. It is produced by the small to medium scale sector and has a considerable market in India. At its most basic, kansari is manufactured using simple animal drawn crushers, is subjected to simple clarification, boiled to the consistency of a thick syrup, and allowed to stand until sugar crystals are formed. The small crystals are then separated in manually operated centrifuges and sun-dried. At the other end of the scale, the production plant can use diesel or electrically driven crushers, crystallizer to ensure uniform formation of crystals, power-driven centrifuges, and forced air dryers to dry the product. Factories processing between 1 and 200 tons of cane per day are common, yielding between 6.5 and 13 tons of sugar per day respectively. Since the late 1950s, traditional kansari production has been declined in favor of modified process known as open pan sulfitation, that is OPS, sugar processing. The OPS production method produces an off-white to white crystal sugar which can be of the same quality as what produced by the modern large-scale VP sugar factories. Next, white granular sugars. Free-flowing white granular sugars are often referred to as plantation white. These sugars are traditionally produced in large-scale vacuum pan, that is VP factories. It is possible for the medium-scale sector to develop small-scale or mini VP plants for the production of good quality white sugar. And the other one is brown granular sugars. There are two categories of granular brown sugar: those produced directly from the cane juice at the place of origin and those that are produced during the refining of raw sugar. The first type includes Demerara and Muscovada and Turbinada sugars. The second types are coated brown or soft sugars and manufactured Demerara. Those produced directly from the cane juice at the place of origin can be made using medium scale open pan production methods. The refined brown sugars, however, tend to be produced in modern large-scale VP sugar factories. We'll see about Demerara sugar. Named after the area in Guyana where it was first produced, Demerara is a centrifuge sugar prepared from the first crystallization of cane sugar and has large yellow crystals and a slightly sticky texture. Production of this sugar is suited to the medium-scale sector as the juice needs to be carefully clarified to ensure purity and crystallizer are required to ensure uniform grain size. Next we'll see about Muscovada. Also known as Barbados sugar, Muscovada is the product of the third crystallization. It is dark brown in color with small grains and sticky texture. A byproduct of both the OPS and mini VP scale of production, muscovada tends to be produced as an alternative to white sugar if the standard is not very high. Okay students, I think you would have understood the processes involved in sugar processing as well as different types of sugars produced from the sugarcane. Let us summarize very briefly about the process. Sugarcane is a major crop cultivated for the production of sugar as you know. The production process can be divided into 6 stages. Number 1, extraction of juice from the cane. Number 2, clarification of the juice. Number 3, boiling of the juice. Number 4, crystallization and centrifuging. Number 5, drying. And finally, packaging and loading. Unrefined or raw sugar is referred to as cane sugar. Following refining, the sugar is called refined sugar, which is commonly used in bakeries and industries and even at household level. Thank you.